Hi lads, today is day 142 of my series to get to 2100 on Chess.com. And I just wanted to show you today two games that I played over the weekend. One game, I had a completely winning position and I lost. And the second game, I had a completely lost position and I won. And I wanted to go over what I did in both games and why I lost one and why I won the other. Let's jump into the first one. This first game, I lost to a 2060 from Vietnam. And so I went down to 2038. He went up to 2068. And you can see here, according to the engine, that I got up to be about +4 and even a wee bit later, +3, +2. I had a pretty solid opening and was never losing this game. But at some point, I fumbled it all. Let's jump into it real quick. I played d4, just wanting to control the center of the board. My opponent brought the knight out. Getting the knight out early is good, controlling these two light squares in the center. I brought my knight out, controlling the two light squares. They brought a pawn into the middle, controlling the other light square. And so both of us are initially, right off the bat, are trying to control the center of the board. I bring my bishop out. This is the Jobava London. Okay, so the bishop's on a good square, the knight's on a good square, and all the pieces are attacking squares in the middle. This is what you want to do in every chess opening. My opponent did the exact same thing. It looks kind of like a mirror image almost. Now, in the Jobava, when the opponent brings the bishop outside, this is the pawn chain, and this side of the pawn chain is the house, and this is the outside. He's off in the garden. He's running around. We want to chase that bishop around. So the first way we do that is we first play the move e3. Now, e3 closes off the pawn chain. It allows this bishop to develop, but the idea we're going for here is we're going to push these pawns and attack this bishop. He does the same thing, closes off his pawn chain, gets his bishop ready to come out, and we start our attack with f3. He plays the move c5. Now, I wasn't entirely sure what to do in this game because in the Jobava London, often you move your knight up to b5 and attack this square if there's no c-pawn that can stay here and push forwards and attack your knight. So I knew that knight b5 was a move here, but I also thought, let's do what we started out wanting to do and attack this bishop and force it to run away. So I went for this move. This was the decision I made. Now, I don't know. I actually haven't checked. Is knight b5 good here? I would assume that it's a decent move. Yes, it's a good move, but my plan to continue here was best. So I continued. The opponent dropped his bishop back and I continued my plan here. Now, apparently jumping the knight here now is the best move. So kind of playing on both sides of the board at the same time. My opponent played up to h5. And if they play to h6, then we swap off the bishops. If they play to h5 here like they do, then we don't want to lose this pawn in an exchange. We don't want to open up this rook. We just push onwards. Now, let me just check here. If this move, apparently knight b5 is best. What about bishop d3? Bishop d3 is a mistake here. And this is good to know. Normally, this is the move I always go for. But I guess the reason that knight b5 is better and bishop d3 is not so good is because we can't get our knight to b5 before this pawn pushes. So we want to make sure we take advantage of this first, so that their knight has to come to a6 to defend the fork. We're going to have a fork here, and then we probably can deal with this a wee bit later. Now, it's saying our best move is c3, which is always the move you play after putting your knight on b5. How bad is this move? It's still a mistake. So I guess we want to keep this light squared bishop for some reason. So playing here, bishop out so that he can castle, and now going after this bishop. When do we swap off our bishop? Bishop d3 is the second best move here by the engine now. So I guess we just have to first close off this pawn chain so that we're okay here. Yeah, and then get the bishop out here. It's okay now. All right, in the game, h5 was played. I pushed on. He jumped his knight back, and we went for knight b5. So playing on both sides of the board, I didn't bring my bishop out. He played a6 to stop my jumping in, and I played c3. he pushed up to c4, which is always a very awkward move, and I never quite know what to do. I know a4 was a move, and so this is what I played. Apparently it's a miss, and I missed the move knight e2. Now knight e2 gives me a plus 1.4 advantage, which is very interesting. I'm surprised that it's such an advantageous move. It looks like we're holding our bishop here. I'm not sure why this move is so good coming to e2 immediately. But a4 was the second best move here according to the engine, which is what I went for. Bishop came out, I pulled back, castle, knight comes to e2 now. And I pulled back so that I could jump my knight in here and hopefully get rid of his bishop. Now, he pushed. I brought my bishop to h3, attacking this pawn that was not defended. Now, I could have jumped in here and attacked the pawn that was not defended and attacked the bishop. How do you defend both? Queen e8 is apparently the best move, but then I feel like I would take on e6. This is second best, but apparently bishop h3 is best. Now, all of these moves, I played them in some order. So I did eventually get all the pieces to these squares that the engine is telling me is good. And here, this pawn is under attack. I could take with bishop or with knight. So I took with bishop. It's only defended by the queen, and I'm defending my own piece here, so I'm fine to take it. He brought his rook out here, and I thought, do I take here? Or do we move our knight here, capture this piece off? I just took the pawn. It looked like another free pawn. He captured this pawn here on g5. So here is my first big mistake. And this is something that I wanted to get to, and I wanted to talk to you guys about when you have an advantageous position like this. I'm basically up +5. Do you go for the greedy move knight e6, or do you take off your opponent's active piece? And what I should have done in this position is taken off my opponent's active piece. I instead jumped into e6 and looked for the greedy fork. This is a very natural move, I think. I think most humans are going to play a move like knight e6, but it is not correct. And you can see my advantage jumps down quite a bit there. It would be much better for me to swap off here. In this position, they have two options to recapture with. Now, if they capture with queen, it's their best move, and I have this beautiful pin, which is something I didn't really see. I wouldn't expect them to capture back with queen. Here they can block here, which is not as good as just capturing my bishop and losing their queen. But blocking here, then I have queen c2, just adding another piece to this beautiful pin machine. So I didn't go for this. If they had taken with king here, I have h takes g5, and my rook is extremely active. Their rook is not active because my bishop is controlling f3. This bishop's super powerful. This bishop's super powerful. My knight's here being annoying, and their knight on a6 is doing nothing. So this would have been really nice. Bishop takes g5, and then we have f4. They can't attack here because they don't have a rook on this file yet. King h7 is their best move, running away, and then we crash through. If they don't run, like let's say they go after this, then we crash through, and it's a checkmate in 2 moves. King goes here, queen takes here is checkmate because the bishop cuts through these light squares. The queen cuts through everything else. And the same if they go here. Queen takes g5, just attacking everything. The bishop cuts this square, and the pawns holding here as well as the queen. It's just beautiful. None of this happened because I played the move knight e6 instead of capturing this bishop. And it's just something I need to get in my mind. Stop being materialistic. Instead, capture off your opponent's active pieces instead of their inactive pieces. And what I decided to do here was go after my opponent's inactive pieces. These 2 pieces are not doing a whole lot in the game, and I went for this rook on d8. My opponent captured the pawn and attacked my bishop, and I took off a rook on the back rank. not as powerful a decision as capturing this beautiful bishop, which is currently cutting through everything in my position. If they didn't have this bishop, then I could probably castle queenside, get my rook, and go for a big attack. So here they recaptured my knight. I played bishop f4, trying to stop the rook looking at f3, and I was a bit nervous here, but I thought that this was the best defense. My opponent played bishop g5. It's a bit scary because if I take, then they take here with queen, and the queen can come here looking at my king, and it's just getting a little bit tense. So I pulled my bishop out of the way, realizing that the rook can't capture, but also seeing that the bishop could capture here. And I wasn't entirely sure what was best here, but I thought I don't want to trade off bishops, because if I trade off bishops here, the queen's activity just looks completely crushing, and it would have been completely crushing. So I played here, and I thought I'd just attack the rook. The rook moved to e8, attacking this pawn, which is now attacked twice. Here I have to play bishop e4, which didn't look super good because bishop takes here, pawn takes, and then I thought rook could come down here and just crash through, and everything looks really disgusting. However, I had queen h5, and I'm going on a big attack now. So this would have been a mistake from my opponent, but I didn't see queen h5. So I really should have pulled back here. I instead played the move e4. My advantage is dropping a little bit more. They move their knight in, making a less active piece more active. I take off the pawn and try to reroute back here where I can defend. He took my pawn. I took his knight. He took with bishop, setting up a discovered check. And I looked at this position for quite some time, and I was really stressed because bishop here checks with the rook and he wins my queen. So I have to move my king, or I have to try to block. I really thought about this move for a while. The move that I didn't see, which I should have played, bishop e5, blocking the threat, didn't see the move, or queen takes h5, which would have been beautiful. I just didn't see it. This move looks completely crushing because his only response is bishop h6. Every other square is blocked. And then I can probably castle this way. I wonder if I could even... No, I can't castle this way because that's castling into check. But yeah, castling this way and having a very active rook, just looking at some checkmate somewhere, would have been really nice. But I instead played the move castles. I'm in a lot of danger here. He checks me. I move my king to h2. I still have a huge advantage. He moves his queen in, and I look. The problem in this position is that there's a checkmate on g2 and also potentially g3. This bishop is doing a good job of defending, but it could be on g3 as well. But g2 has to be stopped. So I have a few options to stop it. I could play the rook here to g1. I could play the rook up to f3, just stopping the bishop looking at the square. But I could also play queen e2, which stops the checkmate here. Queen e2 didn't look appealing because I thought they have this bishop move. Bishop takes, and I thought queen takes looking here, and I forgot I had a rook still eyeing this square. It all got confusing in my mind. But the move that I played was rook g1. A terrible move because he can check me, remove the defender, check me. I have to move my king. He checks me again, and my king literally has one square here. If I go here, I was pretty sure I was getting mated somehow. I think, yeah, queen g3 just looks crushing. And if I go back, then he comes back here. And if I go this way, then he goes here. And the rook's holding the rest of the squares. Yeah. So I threw the rook into block, and he took, and I moved, and he checked, 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 and I moved, and he checkmated me. So I got completely crushed. All that to say, I didn't capture off my opponent's active pieces. Instead, I took his inactive pieces because I thought material was more important. Let's have a look at game number 2, where I instead was completely losing and did something to win the game. Here we have game number 2, and you can see that I had a slight edge in the opening. Then my opponent's winning, then I'm winning, then they are majorly winning up like +5, and then I come back because I start doing something specific and I get a win. So quite a topsy-turvy game. Opponent played d4. Against d4, I always play the Dutch. I go pawn to f5, controlling the center with a side pawn. Often beginners don't like to play this move because this diagonal here is very weak. And if the opponent can get a queen here, or maybe this bishop can come here, then it's looking quite scary for the king. However, I like to play this way. It's very uncommon. And we just control the center with our pawns here, our knights exerting pressure here, and we like to swap off a knight here because often you get doubled pawns here. And so that's what I went for, and I castled my king and played my queen over to e8. Now, I don't like the engine's recommendation of knight c6 because I'm always worried about this pawn push. Apparently this is fine for me. I can just jump over here and target this pawn. But if I do, then I always think, well, they could take here. Now my queen is in danger, maybe. It just doesn't look so comfortable. But these are double isolated pawns. So I need to be more okay with jumping out here. I just like to go for my one plan here. So maybe it's something I need to look at more in the future. If I've got doubled pawns, maybe this is a move I can play. I played queen e8, preparing this pawn push. Opponent brought his bishop out, kind of like a London setup here, sort of. I played d6, stopping his eyeing of c7. He brought his rook over, looking at b7. I brought my knight into the center. Again, it really likes this move, maybe coming here and attacking. But I put my knight into the middle. He withdrew. Here I captured, he captured, and I started to make a few questionable moves. Now, in this position, what should I do? The engine says knight c6 is still best, knight d7 is second best, and both of these moves prepare the push of e5, which I know is the idea in the Dutch. I don't know why I had to play queen g6. I just thought that maybe I could shoo this bishop away, and then I could push the pawn and hit this rook that was not defended. I thought maybe we could get some tactics going. So that's actually why I played this. But the best kind of idea, I think, is something like this, and then just slowly build up your attack with all your pieces. Anyway, queen g6, he played g3 himself, defending his bishop. I attacked his bishop, a very bad move because I only have one defender and he has two attackers. So here I'm just throwing away a pawn. He checks my king. I block with the bishop. He takes my pawn. He's now up a pawn. I play c6 because I didn't want him to grab this pawn. So I just played c6. Apparently I missed b takes c4. I'm sorry, bishop takes c4. Yeah, so I knew this was hanging, but then I thought he just takes here and hits me here and also hits me on b7. So apparently this isn't good for him. Knight c6. Can he not just take this or even come down here? I mean, this just looks really scary. Apparently not. Rook f7, and I'm winning his rook. But what about this one? Queen e6, and I'm threatening checkmate here. So he's got to defend checkmate. He is defending it with his bishop, so rook g1's his best move here. And then knight e5. Just going for a lot of activity. I'm currently threatening to jump my knight in here. He can't take me because he's pinned. And I'm going to threaten his rook and knight. So, rook and king. I just need to get active. Like, I need to go for activity. But anyway, instead of doing that, I just play for material. And material is wrong. That's what I did wrong in the first game that you saw. I played for material, and I need to play for activity. So here he gets a lot of material. I take some pawns back. I attack his queen. I attack his queen. I take his bishop. And here I realized I need to play for activity. I was down so much here. His queen is looking at my king. His rook is very active on the 7th rank. So I move my king over. He castles. And I thought to myself, I'm in a lot of trouble here. I played h6 because I thought we need to have some breathing room for our king, but I need to start trying to have some activity. And that's what I started doing in a completely lost position. And I think, guys, if you can focus trying to have more activity, I mean, I know we always say in the opening, activate your pieces, but in the middle game, activate your pieces. In the end game, activate your pieces. You just got to have activity. And so what I mean by that is getting your pieces onto squares where they're exerting pressure. So he moves his rook over, and I thought, what's the most active move that I can make? I saw he was attacking this knight twice, but it currently is defended twice, so I thought I have a chance here to move my queen. I moved it up to c2, attacking his weak rook and attacking the pawn. Yes, this is defended. This pawn's also defended by his queen. I knew that he could just move his rook somewhere or even pull his queen back, but he pulled back this way. And so here I was able to grab this pawn. So I captured the pawn and I have activity. Like now I have these two pieces. Maybe I'm threatening to drop in here with a check and forcing something to happen. You know, I'm being more active in this position. Maybe this rook can come over here and we can start going for checks. He pulls his bishop to h3. And what we need to go for is activity. And so even though this knight was attacked 2 times, I thought maybe we can drop a rook over here. I saw also that when he moved bishop h3, he's actually attacking this knight 3 times. It's only defended twice. And so I thought to myself, I'm just going to give up on this knight and just go all out on an attack here. Now, I could have played rook f7 to go for an attack and still have 2 defenders here. But what good is 2 defenders when there's 3 attackers on your knight? 2 defenders isn't going to make a difference. And I saw that this rook was already helping this queen on the eyeing of e1. So I didn't want to move this rook. So I thought I'll move the other rook. And now we're attacking this pawn twice. I didn't know that the engine evaluation said I was only losing by basically a pawn value. It felt like I was completely losing here with 3 pieces looking at my knight. Here he defended correctly, rook to f1, looking at this pawn. I can no longer take here and get a check and probably something else. I'm not entirely sure. But I brought my knight now into the game. It was attacked twice. And so instead of trying to defend it again by pulling my rook up, I just brought it into the game and I was going to come to f3 because I saw if I can get my knight to f3, I have a lot of activity. He took my rook. I checked him, attacking his rook. He moves his king up, but this knight is defended with 2 pieces. So here I can capture his rook. So I pulled back. I'm still losing the game. But after his queen moved back here, I moved back up to get more pressure on this king. Now I'm threatening to move my knight and attack him with my queen. So maybe I can move my knight here and grab a rook for free. Maybe I can move my knight here and grab a bishop for free. I'm not sure yet, but he played rook h1. Don't know what this move was. But when you put your opponent in pressure and you play with a lot of activity and you start trying to push your agenda and your threat, then your opponent's going to mess up. I played knight g5. Now, apparently every knight move is basically winning here. Knight g5 was the one I saw because I knew that the king's going to have to move away or a pawn's going to block. If the king moves away, I have a check here. The king's forced here. And then this is checkmate with the rook on f2, which is actually what happened. He moved his king back and he saw that he was going to get mated in 2 moves. And so I would just win the game there. However, what he should have done is played the pawn up here. Then I take with a rook. Apparently this is best. I actually probably would have done this. Yes, it allows him to check me here, but I didn't think that a check was going to be all that great because there's no way for him to support this square here. It's defended twice. Everything just looks very aggressive for me. Apparently here, bishop g4 is his best move. And then I'm just winning. Like even coming rook here, checking with the queen looks pretty good because I'm also hitting this queen. I don't know if it would work. Yeah, so if he blocks here, I just take back and then have the same threat again. But anyway, this would have been his best move. Then rook f8's my best move. His bishop f3, rook takes f3, rook e1, hitting my queen, rook e3, checking with the queen and defending by getting in the way of the rook, looking at the queen, king f1, here queen h1, king f2, rook f3, king e2, and then here queen takes h2 or queen g2. Both moves are checkmate. So just a beautiful game. I kind of wish I got that checkmate on the board, but he resigned when I had a force mate in 2. Lads, I just wanted to show you both of these games because one game I went for material and lost, and the second game I went for activity and won. And from both games, you can see that being materialistic in chess is not good, activity is much more important. And this is a lesson that I need to learn. And I keep looking at pawns, and I keep looking at rooks more valuable than bishops, and I make quite poor decisions. I was just watching General Zod live stream. He's a 2700 rapid player. He's fantastic at the game, and he so nonchalantly took his opponent's bishop with his bishop when he could have taken his opponent's rook with his bishop. And I would always take my opponent's rook. And I thought to myself after watching his stream, I said, like, why was that such a simple decision for him? And I went back and I checked it with an engine, and I saw that both moves were good, but the move he chose was slightly better because he took off his opponent's active piece. And I hope that this is something you guys can implement into your games and hopefully help you progress. I'm sitting at 2054 after today. I played another game and won. But lads, if you did enjoy this video, a little different today, but if you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye for now.